Okay, hi. I wrote down a few thoughts this morning. I was just going to read them and try not to focus on the camera all that much and just focus on my words. Um, it has been said you cannot serve God and mammon. You can interpret this expression to mean that the pursuit of wealth takes one away from God. But in a more relatable context, you simply cannot serve two masters, particularly when those two goals exist within conflict of one another. Some people even say that money is the root of all evil, but money is just a paper. It's credit. All of these pieces of paper only represent work performed, or so that was the original intention. As time passed and civilization grew, the structures became more tenuous. Money came to represent a more abstract concept of value. Debatably, I suppose, this gave rise to different types of workplace hierarchies where there are plenty of opportunities to get paid exponentially more to direct people who were carrying out the more grueling, time consuming tasks. A common theme I have seen is that the less money you make, the more often you are doing the job that nobody else wants to do. The gross, the uncomfortable, the toilsome, and the exhausting. If these men were properly able to negotiate the value of their labor, the they would be more fairly compensated. But then those at the bottom of the totem pole rarely realize that a hard worker is a strong foundation, so they spend their lives cloying for a ladder to climb. So we can hopefully understand how the only role of money is to represent work and service, but that the main unintended consequence of money is to obscure the value of our work and services, time, effort, and health. However, money is the chief, but not the sole, subject of greed. Greed is defined as an excessive interest in the accumulating and preserving of one's wealth. Many people have come to call this trait evil, and I can understand why they would feel that way because greediness has been fueling exploitation and suffering for thousands of years. We've never been so aware of all the ways that we're being taken advantage of. Some might say we have a hyperfixation on it. But I would like to pose my own conjecture that greed is a thing which is not evil, but is instead an illness of fear. Who in this world couldn't be tempted by a sense of security, a kind of stability which feels less and less shakable the more they build? The more they collect, the more they need. From this black hole mindset, we see everything from billionaires to hoarders. And the common theme throughout is the thought, I need. Now, I'm not condoning greed here, merely trying to view it in a more sympathetic light, because I can imagine how I could be tempted by a life without need. I believe it is in the acknowledgement of this vulnerability within me that allows me to recognize it within others. And hopefully, I believe that this recognition is a powerful tool to help me forego my greedier inclinations. The dangers of needing to not need. As a person who has been in desperate and not so desperate need, I have lived a parasitic lifestyle in the past. This isn't to say that I was maliciously vampiric or exploitative, but that I lacked the willpower not to take advantage of the generosity of others, while I had nothing to offer which they found as valuable compensation. This isn't to say that I had nothing to offer, but that they had no need for what I had to offer. This was not greed, but rather a poor understanding of the concept of boundaries and how we need to respect them even when we're trying to fill our supposed needs. As I have more as I have become more self-sufficient in my work life and home life, I have often struggled with these same boundaries, but rather from the other side of the table. In all honesty, I'm in a somewhat precarious position where I depend on some people to help me. I pay pretty good rent where I live, but there is always a question of whether the place will be sold to a higher bidder. The more work I do to improve it and make it feel like a home, the more people are interested in making offers to buy the place, and I can't outbid anybody. Um, Now, I depend on my landlady to help me out in these ways. I also have people around me who desire to use my resources to supplement their poor spending. They waste their money. I watch them waste their money willy nilly, and I budget, and then I need to share with them because they misspent. I must draw boundaries, because if I let myself be drained by parasitic relationships, I am pulled into a place of need, and if I allow that to happen, then I can never return value to those who are investing in me. I also need to draw boundaries because for people who have no boundaries, they need me to set them so that they learn to respect people's boundaries. For a very long time, I was loathfully opposed to ever becoming wealthy because of the transactional nature of relationships within the developed world. To me, money represents competition between members of the working class. It represents competition between men. It represents, in a lot of ways, simple falsity. It doesn't accurately represent work or value. If you have it, you always question whether your friends really support you or whether your lover even loves you for you. If I had enough money to have a strong sense of security, I would be afraid to get close to anyone because I would want to be understood and loved because I'm me, not because of my money or social status or because of how good of a utility that I can be. It's a really hopeless feeling to desperately want to love in a world where you feel you will only be loved for things which you don't even identify with. I imagine this is how women feel about being appreciated for their bodies, although I feel like I would rather be wanted for my body than how rich or popular I can become. Uh, but I would rather be wanted for other things more. I'm only trying to demonstrate the ways in which our common insecurities can grow into overwhelming needs and cause us all to be susceptible to greed. I don't know that we can directly heal the greedy, but I know that demonizing them and threatening to bring out the guillotines will only strengthen the insecurities which cause them to clutch so tightly to their wealth. I believe a more direct way we can heal as a collective is to recognize our own capacity to feel those same insecurities so that we may prepare and act more conscientiously than those who came before us. So we're not always desperately clutching um, to stability, maybe not stability, um, need, clutching to need. And that, again, that's easier said than done. A lot of things really are. Uh, but I feel like this is a groundwork we can start from. All right. That's all I've got to say. Bye.